welcome back, everyone, to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Pache. Always great to be with you as we continue to roll on the day's biggest top stories and headlines. I want to go back out to the White House for an update from Fox News on President Trump's big claims yesterday on the possible links of autism and Tylenol. Let's listen in to Fox News.
The president probably said it a dozen times on Monday. Don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant, after top health officials claim there's an association between the use of acetaminophen, Tylenol's active ingredient, and autism in children. The president says he's trying to make America healthier. But across the country, the claim is being met with skepticism and even some anger.
It feels like a slap in the face.
Why are you doing this to us?
Some mothers of kids on the spectrum are strongly criticizing the announcement. Many say they feel like they're being blamed. Others point out moms who didn't take Tylenol during pregnancy also ended up having children with autism.
Oversimplifying it to a single cause undermines public trust, distracts from the real science, and diverts attention from the broader evidence-based research.
Doctors and scientists are also on the attack, including the author of a Drexel University study showing no causal link between acetaminophen and autism.
They've all reached the conclusion that there's no strong evidence to support that acetaminophen used during pregnancy increases risk of autism.
But Secretary Kennedy and President Trump say the science isn't so clear-cut, claiming there are at least 46 studies linking acetaminophen to autism. And while more study is needed, parents need to be cautious.
We know that people who take Tylenol for prolonged periods of time during pregnancy seem to have a higher incidence of autism in aggregate.
The FDA says it's in the process of putting new warning labels on Tylenol, but says the choice still belongs with parents. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
All right, Alexandria, thanks so much for that update. I want to continue to talk about this and get some insight as well. So please welcome our next guest here. This is Jennifer Cook, autism advocate, also identified as being on the spectrum back in 2011. And you might recognize her from Netflix's Love on the Spectrum. She is the on-camera expert for that show. So Jennifer, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox. We appreciate it. And first off, just what did you think of the comments coming from the White House yesterday?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I have to start with that. Right, I am somebody on the spectrum myself. I'm also the mom of 3 kids who are on the spectrum and a professional in the field. So kind of got all these different perspectives leaning in. What I thought was, honestly, I thought back to something my mom used to tell me, which is that it's not always what you say, it's also how you say it. And I think that a lot of what was happening yesterday was, first of all, obviously, there was the information that was being put out there and some, questions as to the accuracy thereof. But then also it was the tone and the language choices. And sometimes maybe that wasn't exactly what was needed. Right now, when you're hearing as somebody who is autistic that you're part of a horrible, horrible crisis, that's heartbreaking. That's not what you want to hear. You don't want to be blamed for destroying families. That's not accurate and it's hurtful. But I think that the president is, if we can get the autistic community involved in the work that's being done at the HHS, then the president's in a unique position to create some real change and in a very positive and wonderful way.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing a lot from. The tone was at times, hard and, sometimes sporadic as well that he was talking about. But like you were saying that it's coming from a good place. So what needs to happen for the White House and the federal government to really bring autism together and really the groups together? What will it need to take to get a better understanding of what's involved here?
So you're exactly right. Obviously, we can never know anybody's intention, but boy, can we say, hey, Mr. Trump, if you are wanting to do something amazing right now in the field of autism, boy, can you. Because we've not yet had the opportunity as a larger autism community. So I'm talking about organizations like, I'm on the board of directors and I'm the chair of the Council of Autistic Advisors for the Autism Society of America. So some of our colleagues as well at some of the other better known national organizations, we would love to be part of the dialogue at HHS. Heretofore, unfortunately, our requests to be part of that conversation have been kind of met with silence. That's a bummer, to put it mildly. So what I would love to see is, the accuracy, diversity, and depth of the autistic experience be part of the larger conversation so we can have autistic people and advocates and experts be part of the policymaking.
Yeah, that's so true. And so well said what you are saying about wanting to be involved. And why do you think it's not being met right now? You would think, okay, you're the ones that are dealing with it on an everyday basis, that you would want to maybe have that insight. Why do you think they're not meeting you at the front door, per se?
It's a great question, and I don't really have a great answer for it, unfortunately. I think a lot of the focus, even yesterday was on talking about children, and we heard the word child and baby lots and lots. I think that we tend to forget that autism is across the lifespan, and so involving adults maybe doesn't, who are in fact like myself autistic, maybe doesn't always jump to mind. Maybe it's not the first thing that comes, to mind when trying to work through what is absolutely a complicated topic. But that's okay. We're absolutely ready to say, then let's get started now. Involve us. We would love to be part of it because it is a diverse and complex conversation, just like it is a diverse and complex and non-monolithic group of people who are autistic.
Yeah, that's so true. And also, it would seem to me that those that are continuing to deal with autism, and if they have autistic children, I think the number one question they are always probably asking themselves is, why did this happen to my family and why did this happen to my child? It has to be thought about really on a daily basis.
Right, and we know that there is no one cause for autism, but that there can be environmental factors, there can be genetic factors. Certainly, genes and genetics seem to play the biggest card, in the pile. But that being said, when you kind of come to understand that autism really is like a constellation of gifts and challenges, you stop asking why and you just start loving the person.
Yeah, that is such a great statement there, and so well received as well. Now, what do you think is going to happen now after that this statement has been put out by HHS and the White House? What do you think needs to happen in really the next steps to continue this dialogue?
Right. So I think that, a couple different things. Yes, for sure, for certain, we need to bring in those autism organizations. You even asked what could be the benefit or what could be the long-term, fallout, if you will, but for all of us. And I think actually you might see it coming together within the autism community, because sometimes, like that old adage about, a house divided against itself, even within the autism community, there are voices who are, advocating for profoundly autistic folks, or there's level 1, level 2, level 3. Regardless, we can't be divided up. We need to all come together and work together for a larger cause. So I think that that would be the next step, is that if we can really all work together and then have that voice in Washington, I think some pretty amazing things could happen. That, and making sure that the research and that the medical advice that's given is based in long, established, reputable, replicatable science.
Yeah, so true. Well, Jennifer, thanks so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. We really appreciate your thoughts and your insight on this matter. Thank you so much again for joining us this evening.
My absolute pleasure, Mike. Thanks so much for having me.
You take care. All right, everyone. And we want to show you just what the White House put out for their autism action plan. They put this out right after the speech there from HHS and other doctors that were speaking just yesterday. And again, that is some of the big takeaways that we heard yesterday. Number 1, informing doctors and families. Number 2, making a therapeutic available, and so on. All right, I want to continue this topic, though, and talk about a story from Fox 10 Phoenix. A Phoenix area mother with 2 children on the autism spectrum is calling for more research into the causes of this disorder. Let's listen in here on Live Now from Fox.
Overdue. It's time we know.
Like many mothers of children with disabilities, Karen Yorks continues to dig deep for a cause, as 2 of her 4 kids have special needs, and she wants to know why.
It's so inconclusive in my world because there are so many various factors. There are variables that make sense, and there are variables that make no sense.
Dr. Danny Openden, president and CEO of the Southwest Autism Research and Resource Center in Arizona, wants to see the research reveal new findings.
What we don't want to do is rush into potential answers that might be associated with autism or some small link, but are not actually related to causality of autism.
Researchers say the complex disease does not have a single cause.
And we believe there is a strong genetic component. The extent to which that interacts with something in the environment is something we don't know, and we don't also know if there's maybe an environmental only cause that might be associated with autism as well.
Karen York taught special needs high schoolers for 17 years before opening Spencer's Place, a place with a purpose, hiring adults with disabilities.
If I knew then what I know now, I would have done everything differently.
For York, it's not about blame, but knowledge and asking the right questions.
No mom, no dad should feel responsible for, we don't know what we don't know. And just moving forward, making better, healthier decisions is key.
We want to ensure that the highest quality science is answering those questions, right? If we just have answers that are thrown together without the best available science, we're not really giving families the right information to make the best decisions for themselves, for their kids, or for their adult children.
All right, that report coming from Fox 10 Phoenix. We appreciate you continuing to watch with us here on Live Now from Fox. We'll take a 2-minute break and be back.